welcome to the Wellness Company Med Talks. I'm here today to talk with Dr. Jen Vandewater. We're going to be talking about naturalistic versus pharmaceutical medicine. So good morning, Jen. How are you?
I'm good, Chris. How are you?
Good, good. Maybe actually, before we start, if you could give a little bit about your background.
Sure. So I'm a doctor of pharmacy. I've only known pharmacy my entire life. I started out as a pharmacy technician in 1998, decided that I would have a better impact on my community if I was actually the pharmacist to interact with the people and help them. Through my years, though, I watched pharmacy become very robotic and pushing more and more prescriptions and not really getting to the root cause of why people were unwell. So through the years, I just pivoted and turned and thankfully ended up where I am today, fighting on the front lines for people.
Great. And why don't you explain what you do at the Wellness Company?
With the Wellness Company, I'm VP of Pharmacy and also Director of Pharmacy. We have a few programs we're working on. One is Freedom from Pharma, and that is where we're trying to help people live in wellness. We're trying to help people find a way to deprescribe, working with providers we have, and give people the opportunity to have health and wellness again. The other thing we're working on too within the pharmacy department is reaching out to other independent pharmacies out there who are like-minded and who believe in standing up for medical freedom and giving patients the choice and filling those prescriptions of ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine that we know are safe and effective and help with people with COVID.
Well, great. So I know it's important, and we've discussed it many times, this idea of naturalistic versus pharmaceutical medicine. So why don't we start with understanding the two? To you, what is naturalistic medicine? What does that mean?
Well, naturalistic is really what's found in nature. It's derived in nature. And then you take those components of the plant, whether it's the leaves, the root, the flower, and you use that and put it into a formula that can help the patient. Pharmaceutical is derived in a lab. It's chemical based, so it's not natural. The compound is similar to what's found in nature. And the reason for that is you can't patent what's found in nature, what's created, but you can patent something you create on your own. So the molecule is similar, but it's not the exact same of what's found in nature.
Interesting. So there's an incentive to find or just to replicate something found in nature, because then you have the patent protection and it can become more profitable. Is that accurate?
That's accurate. Profit over care.
Interesting. So it seems that in the last century, there really was a shift, and I think you just explained part of it, but from natural remedies to lab manufactured ones. Beyond just the ability to profit, is there anything else that you think drove that?
Well, it's not just, I mean, profit is their goal, but in profiting, you've got to make a business to continue to stay profiting. So the Flexner report, and there's an article I actually wrote for the Wellness Company that breaks this down. The Flexner report went to Congress in 1910, and that was backed by the Rockefellers and Carnegies. And the reason being is they found a way to make money off of these pharmaceuticals, petroleum-based medicine. And when that went to Congress, that meant funding and accreditation to holistic colleges and educational training was decreased and removed, and all brought into those who backed the pharma agenda. So it starts way back when to make it happen today. So it was a very calculated plan to eradicate any naturalistic approach and to make that seem like it was hocus pocus almost, that doesn't work. But before we had pharmaceuticals, then what did the Native Americans use? What did people use back then? So we've been misguided, and that's what we're seeing.
Got it. And you can read that article at twc.health at the well. So why would you recommend a naturalistic approach?
Well, a naturalistic approach is more closely related to the human body. So you're not going to have side effects, adverse events, and you're going to improve everything you need to improve. The pharmaceutical approach, it may be short-lived. You've got to do refills, and you have side effects. You have adverse reactions. And a lot of times the pharmaceutical creates another problem, and you have to go on another medication, part of the profit agenda. Where with a naturalistic approach, it could be short-term, it could be a supplement, exactly what it's said to be, a supplement the body for a time needed, and build up the health and wellness back to your body.
So The wellness company offers a freedom from pharma package at twc.health, and you mentioned that. What is significant? What is important about the freedom from pharma package to you as a pharmacist?
What I saw through the years practicing pharmacy was people were being put on increased medications. A lot of times it was easy for a patient to just go to the doctor and get a prescription, but not really get to the underlying cause of what was causing the problem. And instead, it was just band aided with a prescription. The patient thought they were okay, but you were really not giving them optimal health and wellness. And so for me, I'm passionate about truly helping the people find what the root problem is, figure out a way to address it, working with providers. We have medical doctors, we have naturopaths, the pharmacist, as a team to say, hey, we're looking at the patient as an individual. Each patient is being discussed their situation with them, with the team, and saying what's the best option for this patient. And it's not always a pharmaceutical. And also, if someone comes in feeling, hey, I'm on 10 medications, do I need to be on all 10 of these? This is an opportunity for them to have a discussion and go through each medication and see what can we eliminate, what can we remove, and what can we add as a supplement to help the body balance out. And I do want to make one point in this. It's a journey. It's been years and years of this pharma industry pushing these pharmaceuticals, and not just prescription, over the counters as well. And people have been taking them for a while. This isn't you come in and overnight you can come off of these medications. It's time. It's going to take work, and it's going to take part on the provider and the patient to come up with that plan that best suits that patient so they can reach their ultimate health goal.
How many medications do you typically see people who come into the program? How many are they on?
It could be anywhere from 5 to 10 we're seeing right now. I have seen in practice, and sadly, this was for a lot of the elderly patients, they were on 20, and they were taking these like 4 times a day. So I have seen people on high amounts of medication. And what I saw in practice was that the people on the most medications were the least healthiest, and the people on the least amount of medications were the healthiest. They were able to move right better, they looked better, they were breathing better. And I just was confused because what I was taught in college was, quality of life with these prescriptions, and I was not seeing that actually play out, in the patient population.
So, are there any medications that you find are easier to wean people off of because there is such a great natural alternative? Could you name what are a couple of those?
Yeah, I do want to recommend Dr. Amerling's article through the Wellness Company on deprescribing. That is a very informative and educational, and it will help people understand a little bit better. But some that he mentions there are like statins for cholesterol, bisphosphonates for bones, certain gastro medications for GERD, and also over the counters. Those are probably the top, I would say, that are easy to eliminate right away. A lot of other medications will have to be tapered slowly, and each person, each patient, it's going to be specific to them and how they can manage with that. We don't want to ever just give everybody one box fits all. We want the patient to know this is their plan, this is their journey, this is to help them. So it would be figured that would be figured out with the provider and the patient.
Great. And could you kind of talk through that journey? How you're onboarded, you have labs, see a provider, see a pharmacist. Can you maybe talk through that a little bit?
Sure. Well, once a patient comes to the Wellness Company on our website and decides Freedom from Pharma is the membership for them, they'll receive a welcome email. And in that email will be a link to the questionnaire intake form, where we're just trying to get an idea of what you're looking for, what your medications are, your med history, just kind of feel out so we know where to lead the discussion. And once we get that intake form, a pharmacist will schedule an appointment with the patient and have the first consult and go through each of those points that they filled out in the intake form. And then the pharmacist will do a write-up summary, get that back to the patient of the recommendations for lifestyle changes, because it always begins with getting your body back in balance. No one's coming in on the first day we're deprescribing. The first thought is we've got to help you figure out how to maintain a healthy lifestyle so your body can manage through the tapering and deprescribing process. So that's where it begins. And then through the consults with the pharmacist, when the patient is ready and feels that they can handle the deprescribing process, the provider will then come into the picture. And if the provider sees it's necessary to order labs, we'll order labs. And all this time, the pharmacist is going to be communicating with the provider with a naturopath to have that continuum of care that we so highly feel is important, to have this networking and connection and collaboration between every health team member, and the patient's going to be the one that ultimately will truly benefit from that.
Great. And TWC offers supplements, some of which were specially designed by you. Could you talk about the supplements you designed?
Sure. The first one is immune boosting. And as a pharmacist, I would have people come into the pharmacy during cold and flu season and always ask, what can I take? I don't want to get sick. And you go to the over the counter shelf and it's multiple products, right? And the patient's like, wow, I've got to take all of these. So the immune boosting formula has a lot of what I would recommend individually all in one. So you don't have to take 5 or 6 different medications just to keep your body strong during that cold and flu season. The spike recovery, that one's even a little personal to me because I suffered with long haul COVID and it took me a long time to recover. I wish I would have had the spike recovery during that time. So this is actually helping people who are either injured, vaccine injured, or even encountering the spike proteins and just want to actually remove that from the body. There's a lot of formulas in there that inhibits the spike protein so it doesn't do more damage and helps your body regain normal function.
Outstanding. Well, Dr. Jen Vandewater, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.